Hi friends, in our last video, we discussed an important concept in economics, monetary policy. We studied the objectives of monetary policy and the implications of monetary policy. If you have not watched that video, I am giving the link of the video in the description. So kindly go and watch that video, you will get a very good understanding. Okay, now in this video, we are going to discuss another important concept in economics. This is fiscal policy. In fact, fiscal policy and monetary policy, these two pillars are very important in regulating the macroeconomic condition of a country. These two policies work in tandem with each other and in turn ensure that the economy of a country is in good health. Generally, the monetary policy is handled by the central bank of a country. We already studied. So in case of India, it is a Reserve Bank of India, RBI, which handles the monetary policy. When it comes to fiscal policy, the government handles the fiscal policy. Generally, it is the finance ministry which handles the fiscal policy along with other important ministries. Okay, but in any case, there is coordination between these two policies to ensure overall economic health. Right. Now let's see what this fiscal policy exactly is. Fiscal, the name implies revenue as well as spending, that is expenditure. So basically this is fiscal. Okay. So managing the revenue and the expenditure. Under fiscal policy, there are two basic elements, two important elements. One is taxation and the other is government spending. By using these two elements, the government actually ensures the macroeconomic health of a country. The government adjusts the taxation as well as the spending in order to achieve its objectives. Now let's see what these objectives are. Fiscal policy has some very important objectives. The basic objectives are to ensure economic stability and to ensure price stability in the country. Apart from that, the fiscal policy ensures proper employment for the masses. And most of all, it ensures good economic growth in the longer run. So these are the main objectives. Apart from that, the fiscal policy aims to trigger investment in the country, ensure industrial development, ensures capital formation and savings in the economy. So these are all the objectives of the fiscal policy in India. Apart from that, fiscal policy can be used to ensure socio-economic welfare also. You may wonder how. Through fiscal policy, the government, for example, can increase the taxation rate for the rich and reduce the taxation rate for the poor. So through such actions, it can ensure distributive justice. It can redistribute the wealth in the country. So this can also be achieved through the fiscal policy. So fiscal policy is a very important instrument. It's a very powerful weapon. Okay, now let's see what the government actually does under this policy. There are two basic types of fiscal policies. The first is expansionary fiscal policy. Expansionary fiscal policy is followed whenever the country is experiencing low economic growth rates. Generally, this is seen in times of recession. So during recession, the GDP growth rate will be very less. It could be even zero also. In some cases, the GDP itself may contract. We recently witnessed during the COVID-19 pandemic. So in such cases, the government will try to resuscitate the economy and trigger the economic growth rates. So how to do this? Basically, it has to create demand in the economy. It also has to trigger production in the economy. Only then the economy will rejuvenate. So for this, the government will first start spending more. Okay, at the same time, it may try to reduce the taxation rate. Now this has a complementary effect. Now if the government reduces the taxation rates, what will happen? So let's say the income tax is reduced. So the people will have more disposable income at their hands to spend, is it not? So the people will try to spend on more goods and services, the demand will increase. On the other hand, the government will also start spending more. So this spending actually takes the form of welfare schemes, infrastructure schemes, and social welfare schemes like education, health, sanitation, employment, and so on. So these two complement each other. Okay, when the government spends in the infrastructure, the industrial development will improve in the country. So the goods and services will be produced more. On the other hand, the demand has also increased because the disposable income has increased. Now the demand and supply will try to match each other. As a result, the economy will start growing again. So basically triggering production as well as triggering demand in the economy and ensuring economic growth rate. Okay, so this is expansionary fiscal policy. On the other hand, there is another policy called contractionary fiscal policy. This is just opposite to the expansionary policy. Now this policy is employed in times of inflation. Remember, we studied under monetary policy. Under inflation, what happens generally? The demand in the economy will be high. People will have more disposable income due to higher liquidity in the system. As a result, people will try to spend more. There will be a mismatch between demand and supply. As a result, even though people have more money in their hands, the money will lose value. The value of goods and services, on the other hand, will increase here. So this situation is called inflation. Inflation up to an optimal level is good for a country. It denotes that the economy is growing. But once it crosses a limit, it is detrimental to the economy. Okay. Now, any country cannot allow this to happen. So when inflation reaches a certain level, definitely the government will try to rein in inflation, control inflation. Okay. Only when inflation is controlled, we will have price stability, we will have economic stability. So inflation is a major macroeconomic indicator. It is a macroeconomic parameter in a country. Okay, so whenever there is inflation, the government will just do the opposite in the form of contractionary fiscal policy. Under such a situation, the government will increase the taxation rate. It will also reduce the government spending. So here the opposite will happen. So in case they increase the taxation rate, let's say they are increasing the income tax rate. So now here people will have less disposable income at their hands, because out of the overall income, the tax is increased. So the remaining is the disposable income. Now this gets reduced. On the other hand, government will also reduce the spending here. So on welfare schemes, infrastructure schemes, and so on, it will reduce the spending. Okay. So generally the government spending indirectly reaches the people as income. For example, if the government spends more on some social welfare schemes like direct transfer schemes, what happens is that this spending indirectly reaches the people as income in their hands. This actually will increase the demand. Now, when government reduces the spending, this actually reduces the demand also. Okay, so once again, both are complementary to each other. Increasing the tax rate, decreasing the government spending. So when this is achieved, the demand in the economy will come down. As a result, the disparity between the value of money and the value of goods and services will get adjusted, and as a result, inflation will come down. We will achieve macroeconomic stability. So this is how fiscal policy is handled by any government. The same happens in India also. I hope this video has been helpful to you. You can find the links of other important subject videos in the description. So kindly go through these videos also. They will be very helpful to you.